Welcome to another episode of last week's Comics Today. This is a deceptively large stack of comics. I'm going to set half of this aside. We'll come back to that in a minute, or a few minutes. But, so it's a smaller week for me, and then I got Predator, which came out, I think, 2 months ago, which I will get to at the end. But we're going to start with Hitomi here. It's a new issue 1. I read the preview of this. It was in one of the previews, I guess, a couple of months ago. And it didn't hook me, but since it was such a small week, and I generally get issue 1s, I grabbed this just to see what the full issue was like, and it didn't hook me. I don't really have any problems with it. It's about a girl who is on the hunt for Hitomi, who's on the look for a dark-skinned samurai. He killed her family years ago, and she is seeking him out. But eventually, essentially, that's what I was trying to say. Essentially, this is her. She has some random interactions with people, and we get a little bit from his perspective as well. They do collide at the end of the issue, except I don't know if they're sticking around or it appears that they get separated. It's fine, it just doesn't hook me in any way. So this is not something that I will continue getting. Jurassic League issue 6, this is the end of the mini-series, except maybe it will continue, and maybe this is just... We get a question mark there at the end, we get a fist popping out. If you can count fingers, you might know whose fist that is. But this is the showdown with Darkseid and the Justice League, except I think it spends too much time on Batman in his fight with the Joker on a cliff. So there is most of the Justice League and Darkseid, the Ankylosaurus Darkseid. Get a good shot of him there, and it's really just a fantastic design. I'm a huge fan, and I hope that we get a toy of him. But here you can see all of this. Well, see that. But and actually, here's this group shot that's really good. It's good stuff. But yeah, there's a chunk of this that is Batman vs. Joker, and I think it should have focused more on Darkseid in order to resolve that story. And it does resolve, it's just, I don't know. Because pages are taken up here in the beginning with Batman and Joker's are. It just feels like... It feels like this should have been resolved in the previous issues, that they could have focused more on Darkseid this issue, but that's not what happened. This is what happened, and I will get to Johnson's other book this week in a minute, but at least we have the good artist back. Overall, this series is fairly weak. It's good, it's fun, it's, well, I don't even know if it's good. It's certainly okay. It is fun, but switching out artists for 2 out of 6 issues is not great, and as far as the writing goes, it's just not as good as Johnson's other stuff. So, I don't know. It's fine. If you have a kid, they might enjoy this, but I don't really recommend it for adults. You have better options for your entertainment. I'm going to call it quits on Love Everlasting. Issue 1, I thought was interesting. There's an... I've talked about this mostly when I was talking about issue 2, about how there is... This is mostly a love story. There is an interesting thing that I still haven't talked about, I think, in depth. And it shows up at the end of issue 1. Issue 2... does not really develop it any further. Issue 3 definitely does not develop it further, so this is stagnating, and it is basically just a love story that I'm reading, which I don't have any tolerance for. If it were going somewhere, that would be one thing, but it's not. So the art is still nice. It's just the writing is stagnant, and this is what I talk about when I talk about Tom King. Can't trust him, don't know what you're gonna get, and this is one that I'm calling it quits on. I believe the first arc ends with issue 5, and I am not going to wait that long to see what happens. I'm just calling it quits. Now I might look at solicits to see if something happens in a future issue. Maybe I'll come back to it, but for now, this I'm done. Unfortunately, Once and Future is also done. This is the final issue, and I have not talked about this, but we can see here that she's wearing a crown. We get this on the back. I have talked about multiple King Arthurs running around. All of that gets resolved here, and there is this bit at the back. Let me show you this. So I do recommend reading this as well if you make it this far. He says that, you know, he failed to write a 6-issue series because it wound up being 30, and as he was putting together things for this final issue, he had ideas for future Once and Future stories, and who knows whether or not those will come to pass. But I have my fingers crossed because I love this series. I grabbed the oversized hardcover for the first 15 issues. I will get what I'm sure will be the second hardcover for the second 15 issues, but this is really well done. The art is phenomenal. The writing is fantastic, and there's a dragon fight in this, so it's awesome. I loved every second of it, and some of my favorite moments in this are quiet moments. We get this bit here with him questioning which Jack from the stories that he is. We get Lancelot questioning his place in the world and wondering if he can change his story. Duncan questions which character he is and whether or not that has implications for what he's going to do. It's really good. Action. There's a lot of quiet character moments. Mary has a great scene. It's really good. It ends very well. I loved it. If this is all that we get, it's great. If we do get more, I would love it. I'm going to spoil it now, but Do a Powerbomb issue 5 is my pick of the week. This is phenomenal. The series has been great. There are still 2 issues to go. This does reach the end of the tournament. We can see here maybe what is happening. You've got a chair wrapped in barbed wire. Is that? No. For a second I thought that was an umbrella, but no, that's a kendo stick. You've got a chain and a ladder and a bat, again wrapped in barbed wire. What this does not show, and what happens inside, is there is a light tube as well. But we get a bit of background for these two, the opponents for this issue, and it's so well done. It is so brutal. There's a panel in here I want to show you. Let me get to that, because there's something I definitely don't want to show. Well, first let's show this. I mean, boot to the face. Ooh, it's so good. So good. I'm going to show you just ultra zoomed in. Look at this. And this, what brutality. So what's happening just off to the left is what I'm not going to show you, but oh my god, just imagine what could be happening to make this guy make that face. It is, wow. The book is incredible. If you are at all a fan of wrestling, get this. If you're a fan of family stories, get this. It's just incredibly well written. I love everything about this book. The art is, just look at her face. Look at her face. The art is so good. It's powerful, impactful. The story, the writing. This is, as I was talking about earlier, Johnson's other book this week, and so much heart is put into this, so much effort. really, I want people to be reading this. It's so good. And just pick up his other works too, because Wonder Woman, Dead Earth, and The Beta Ray Bill are two recent books by Marvel and DC of his that are just, I mean, they're incredible. And this guy needs more exposure. More people need to be reading his work, is what I'm saying. This is, again, unquestionably my pick of the week. Also, because it was such a short week, I grabbed Predator #1. This came out, I think issue 3 is coming out next week, meaning tomorrow for you. But, yeah, I heard good things about this, and because I had a small week, I grabbed this off the rack. I'm probably going to grab issue 2 next week. There is something I find slightly unbelievable, but it's fun. I think I can overlook it. But we have a Human versus Predators. This might seem familiar for those that have read previous Predator books, but it's really well done, and this is intended to be a 6-issue story. I don't know if it's a 6-issue series, probably not, based on what they're doing with Aliens. But at least for the 6 issues, I think I'm in. I missed this. There's some history about the Predators, if you can see through the glare. It gives a history of the Predators. Predator movies, specifically. But here we get to 2056, which is the present. There's also a 2040, I think is when it actually starts. 2041 is when it starts. So there are sort of two parallel timelines. We get the present, and then we get the flashback about how the character got to the present. It's really good. I'm a fan, and I want to see where this goes. I want to see what happens with her. But yeah, if you're interested in new Predator comics, this is the Marvel age, since you know, the license went from Dark Horse to Marvel. Almost said Image. And it's good. I haven't read the Alien stuff, but I skimmed through it, and it did not look good, and I don't really like that writer, so I didn't grab any of that, but I heard good things about this, grabbed it, and it's justified. This is good. So those are the single issues that I got this week. However, also Farmhand came out. This is volume 4. I read these as singles, so I'm not going to do a video about this, but I might eventually do one for the entire series once that wraps up, and there is one final arc to come. Also, I grabbed the Sword of Hyperborea. This was a 4-issue series. I am roughly, I think I'm just slightly over halfway through this now, so I will do a video on this once I'm done. It is the sword, sort of as it goes through the eras from the Hyperborean age to the present, and how it gets into Howard's hands that we see in BPRD. Also, there's a new Reckless book, and I haven't even taken this out of the shrink wrap yet. I've decided to read this first. I will get to this, and as soon as I do, I will do a video on this as well. So it's probably going to be a couple of weeks before that comes out, but I will try to read this as soon as possible. So that is still not all that I got this week, because I got a mini comic. I've talked about Gambro before. He drew, this is a different writer, he didn't write this one himself, but this came out, and I will try to put a link to where you can buy this. It is short. Yeah, art's great, the story is interesting, the story is original, that's for sure. I enjoyed it, and that is literally everything that I got this week. However, I forgot last week to talk about Saga. Volume 10 came out for the trade waiters. Saga is back. It's been back for a few months, long enough to put out a trade. So that is everything that I got this week. And as always, I get all of my books from a local comic shop. If you don't know where yours is, you can use this URL to find the one closest to you. Thanks for watching.